Welcome, my name is Likuyani Eli. We focus on the domestic market as we start off looking at the Treasury, where it was able to raise 23.3 billion Kenyan shillings this week. Treasury Bill auctions. Here is Stella Soke with that report.
Indeed, Eli, the Central Bank of Kenya successfully raised 23.3 billion Kenyan shillings through the week's Treasury Bill auction. The intention was to raise at least 24 billion, as this is the amount that is usually offered for Treasury Bill auctions every other week. So the new borrowing was also used to offset the 22.1 billion Kenya shillings redemptions for last week, taking the cumulative net borrowing to 440 billion Kenyan shillings. So cumulatively, the government has achieved 93% of the net borrowing target for the fiscal year 2023-2024, which ends in June 2024, as you can see. And with only 2 months remaining to close the fiscal year, we see the government surpassing its domestic borrowing target. And this is because revenues, as well as we saw last week, are also lagging behind their prorated targets, and we do not expect the government or the Kenya Revenue Authority to meet the revenue collections. So for the coming week, there are no interest payments on bonds as compared to last week, where we had around 10 billion in interest payments for the local bonds.
Sticking with the matters of finance and borrowing, we look at the interest rates which determine government's borrowing cost. Well, as much as it has been stabilizing, there is an indication that medium government securities will still remain on the high end, even as they struggle to keep things afloat.
Yes, Eli, interest rates on the local market have moderated, especially for the short-term papers as well as the long-term papers, but the rates on the medium-term government securities have continued to increase, as you can see. However, the government is keen on pushing down rates by rejecting overly expensive bids from investors, as well as focusing more on external borrowing. So also on the international front, this is with regards to the Eurobonds. The rates on all Eurobond notes rose marginally for the week ended 26th April, but they have largely remained stable throughout the week. So since the buyback, we have seen the market remain stable, with the yield curve resuming its normal shape, indicating that risks are correctly priced along the Eurobond yield curve.
And back to the shilling, looking at the FX, the Kenyan shilling seemed to be losing against major currencies as we compare and contrast the rally that it had in the months between January and February. And this indicated there's need to be a reason for us to look at the shilling at a deeper end.
Following a period of persistent appreciation, the shilling has seen a twist of events, and this is after depreciating against major currencies, including the regional currencies. So it reverses its earlier gains and halts the persistent rally that has been witnessed over the last 2 months. So the depreciation was despite the weakening of the dollar index, which weakened by 0.5% following a weaker than expected growth in the US economy for the first quarter of 2024. So we still view the movement of the shilling as a sentimental play, largely influenced by behavioral economics, as the shilling strives to find its equilibrium in the current environment. This coming week, we expect the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, that is the KNBS, to release the inflation figures for the month of April, and our projection is that the figure will fall between a range of 5.1% and 5.4%. So the projection is largely informed by the fact that fuel prices for the month of April declined, and this is expected to have a positive effect on fuel inflation. So this is also expected to trickle down to other indices of the inflation basket, including the transport index, the food index, as well as the household index. So we note that fuel-related inflation has remained obstinate for over a year, and this has significantly weighed on the cost of living for Kenyans. We also expect the final budget estimates to be submitted today, the 29th of April 2024, to the National Assembly, as the consolidation has been ongoing since April 12th And we expect again to see several changes with the taxes such as VAT, excise duty, import duty, etc., as this has been the trend over the historical finance bills. So considering the likelihood that the Kenya Revenue Authority may not be able to meet its revenue targets for the current fiscal year, we are anticipating that the National Treasury will have to adjust various taxes to ensure that we ramp up tax revenue collections in the coming years. However, we see a challenge because the Finance Bill 2024 coincides with the commencement of the medium-term revenue strategy, which aims to raise Kenya's tax to GDP ratio from the current 13.5% to 20% over the next 3 fiscal years. So this is from the year 2024-2025 to the fiscal year 2026-2027. So the medium-term revenue strategy also seeks to harmonize taxes across the East African community, and it also aims to harmonize or to bring in the national tax policy, which is yet to be assented to by the cabinet. So that's it for what we expect next week.
And that was it from Stellas, okay? My name is Liquiani Eli. See you next week as we highlight many other conversations right here on Mizani 254.